I mean, please, there has to be something you can do. One of our family members is really, really sick, and I don't know if she's gonna make it through tonight.
Vecna was introduced as this invisible villain we could only dream of defeating, but Season 4 has proven that this isn't the case. Sure, there's no denying he's stronger than any villain before and even Eleven herself, but he isn't undefeatable. How? Well, that's exactly what we'll be looking at in today's video, so let's jump right into it. First up, Vecna isn't that powerful. Even though Vecna is very powerful and the hardest enemy the Hawkins gang has ever faced, he isn't as unbeatable as he might seem. The climax of Stranger Things Season 4 revealed that he'd been manipulating and orchestrating all the attacks on Hawkins since the first season. Vecna's psychokinetic abilities are much more advanced than Eleven's, which makes him extremely dangerous since she's the only one who could go up against him. Vecna is determined to open a portal between the Upside Down and Hawkins. After taking his fourth victim, Max Mayfield, Vecna begins to bide his time before he unleashes his army of monsters on Hawkins and eventually takes over the world. Vecna possesses immense power and control over the Mind Flayer and Demogorgon, but his powers are far from invincible. On multiple occasions, we've seen his influence on others can be broken if the right conditions are met. This means there is still a chance to stop Vecna before he destroys Hawkins and possibly even the world.
Remember the dream I told you about? About the Winnebago, about seeing the country with my 6 all nuggets.
Next up, they've already revealed the extent of his powers. Stranger Things has already established that Vecna is connected to the Upside Down through a mysterious hive mind, which gives him almost complete omnipresence. This allows him to be virtually anywhere at any given time, and although this serves as Vecna's greatest power source, it can also turn out to be his greatest downfall. In Season 4, we saw Nancy Wheeler repeatedly use her skills to shoot Vecna. We also saw Jim Hopper kill the Demogorgon in Russia. These events significantly weakened Vecna and highlighted his vulnerability because of his connection with the hive mind. Stranger Things Season 4 might be the most obvious proof of Vecna's powers having their limits, but previous seasons also show us this. In Season 2, Dustin Henderson's demo dog Dart can fight off the hive mind's kill command and recognize Dustin as its former caretaker. Similarly, Will Byers manages to sweat out the Mind Flayer Slug, which was used to turn him into Vecna's spy. And in Season 3, we see Billy Hargrove break free of the hive mind's Flayer control just long enough to make his final act of redemption, showing that Vecna's influence can be broken even at later stages.
In this last year, I know I've been distant.
Moving on, Vecna's weaknesses will save Hawkins. The Stranger Things gang still needs to stay on the lookout for Vecna and his hive mind, but they have a certain advantage that can help them defeat Vecna. The team is unstoppable when they come together and can devise simultaneous attack plans that put Vecna on the back foot. Considering how highly he thinks of himself, it is difficult for Vecna to comprehend how his powers can be outwitted. This could prove to be his ultimate downfall as the Hawkins residents work together to outmaneuver him and keep the Upside Down forces at bay. It seems like they've already put this plot in motion. Vecna's overconfidence in his power was apparent when he revealed his plans of destruction to Nancy through a psychic link in Stranger Things Season 4. His arrogance and inability to consider the strength of those against him gave our heroes the perfect opportunity to exploit and ultimately defeat Vecna. While appearing drastically different from human beings, he still contains the same motivations and weaknesses as those he seeks to conquer. And this is a major advantage for the protagonist since Vecna is ultimately just human at his core. His vulnerability and underestimation of his opponents will be his downfall in this epic battle.
Flambe. Nobody moves on to the next phase until we've all copied. Nobody deviates.
Coming up, could Stranger Things bring back the show's biggest villain problem? The 4th season of the wildly popular Netflix show Stranger Things ended with a bang, and fans can't wait to see what the 5th and final season has in store. But one major issue that plagued previous seasons was its focus on multiple villains instead of just one. With so many characters and storylines to tie up for the finale, it's going to be a challenge for Stranger Things Season 5 to juggle them all. Stranger Things Season 5 needs to wrap up its subplots after the dramatic Season 4 conclusion, which won't be very easy. Stranger Things Season 5 has the potential to bring all of its character stories to a satisfying conclusion, but it's not going to be very easy for them to do so. With such a large cast, there is a risk that character arcs could be rushed or neglected like they did in earlier seasons. And to prevent this, Stranger Things Season 5 will need to make sure it has 2 compelling antagonists that draw viewers' attention. But if done properly with a focus on character development, Stranger Things Season 5 could be perfect after the 4th installment.
Are you ready for the most metal concert in the history of the world?
Next, they have 2 villains for Season 5. After the epic conclusion of Stranger Things Season 4, we now have 2 major villains to look forward to in the next installment. On one hand, we have Vecna, a mysterious and sinister character who's been lurking in the shadows since the show started. But then there's also Colonel Jack Sullivan leading a whole army who are determined to take down Eleven and her friends. This powerful force has proven its brutality in the past. Not only did they defeat Dr. Brenner, but they also showed no remorse when torturing and murdering innocent people. The upcoming season of Stranger Things could be facing a tricky situation. In the past, we've seen that the show has had difficulty featuring multiple antagonists at once. For example, Season 1 made both Hawkins Lab and the Demogorgon into formidable villains, but they were very different in terms of scale. And while Season 2 was able to balance the storyline by introducing Steve Harrington and turning Billy into a more violent, unhinged villain, he was still overshadowed by the Demogorgon. Then, in Season 3, Stranger Things decided to make Billy into the Mind Flayer, an incredibly menacing creature that took up significant screen time, but it also wasted some of its attention on the Russian scientists, who didn't seem to be very effective villains. Moving on, the Hawkins Lab story won't work in Season 5. The first season of Stranger Things made the scientists and technicians at Hawkins Lab very effective minor villains, and since they made it clear the Demogorgon was a lone monster that broke free from their control, the audience knew how dangerous it was. But there was also an underlying long-term threat lurking beneath the surface of Hawkins Lab mysterious activities. This won't be so effective with the army in Stranger Things Season 5. Vecna's death in Stranger Things Season 4 was a stark reminder that he is a force to be reckoned with. His plans hinted at an ambitious goal of taking over Hawkins, and it looks like he may have had the resources to do so. On the other hand, the army made it crystal clear they were more than willing to go to any length necessary to defeat Eleven. They ruthlessly attacked Byers' home, killing 2 guards and executing Dr. Brenner. These villains have enough power and determination to take out the entire cast of Stranger Things Season 5 if that means taking Eleven down. Up next, could Stranger Things Season 5 make the army a bigger villain? The army and its leader aren't that big of a threat in Stranger Things. After Eleven made her escape from Project Nina in Season 3, their presence was mostly absent until the massive events of the 4th season finale shook up Hawkins. They will likely show up looking for Eleven to take her back, which allows Vecna to recuperate. And with the army on the move, who knows what can happen in the next season. Lastly, Vecna shouldn't be Season 5's main villain. In Stranger Things Season 4, Vecna is probably the best antagonist because of how he was introduced to us. It was plot twist after plot twist. It took several episodes before the main characters got close enough to encounter him, and only near the end of the season did we understand his backstory. Now that his life story is out in the open, it's time for Stranger Things Season 5 to mix things up. What's the best way to achieve this? Hide Vecna from us for the first half of the season. If Stranger Things Season 5 is split into 2 parts, then Part 1 should focus on the new army threat, while Part 2 reintroduces Vecna with an almighty bang. This would maximize the potential of both their villains and make Season 5 the best one to date. That's it for today's video. Do you think Vecna is overestimating his abilities? Make sure to let us know in the comments below. As always, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and we'll see you in the next one.